Good historical day to everyone. Today, we are going to discuss one of the most controversial issue in the Philippine history, the first cry of Pugadlawin or Balintawak. Despite the fact that up to this day we are still celebrating and commemorating this event as National Heroes Day, many of us doesn't know behind the story of this event, which created conflicting idea in the history because of such multiple accounts as to where it did, and Andres Bonifacio and his fellow Katipuneros ripped their saddles and shouted, "Long live Philippines independence." So today, we are going to further discuss about this controversy. So what do we mean by the first cry in Philippine history? The first cry or the unang sigaw in Filipino does not literally mean a cry or a shout. It is translated from the Spanish El Grito de Rebelión, or El Grito for short, which mean a cry for rebellion. Thus, the Grito de Balintawak is comparable to Mexico's Grito de Dolores in 1810. However, El Grito de Rebelión strictly refers to a decision or a call to revolt. It does not necessarily connote shouting, unlike the Filipino term sigaw. So the first cry is generally signified the first call for rebellion issued by Andres Bonifacio, the supreme leader of the KKK or the Katipunan. It is regarded as the start of Philippine Revolution or the Philippines' attempt to achieve independence from Spanish colonial rule through the use of force in arms. It is also the first taken action by the Filipino to overthrow Spanish government. Its historical significance includes the realization that the Filipinos or Filipino already realize the value of freedom and independence, that it needs to fight in order to prove themselves worthy to be called a truly free people. So how did the first cry begin? Just a brief historical background. After Jose Rizal was exiled in Dapitan, Andres Bonifacio and his colleagues realized that their advocacy of gaining independence through his propaganda movement would no longer be successful in doing. So, with the initiative of Bonifacio and his colleagues, they established a Philippine Revolutionary, which is the kataas-taasan, kagalang-galangang katipunan ng mga anak ng bayan, also known as Katipunan or KKK. KKK is a revolutionary organization whose main objective was to overthrow Spain through revolution. It is created in Manila, Philippines in 1892 by the Filipino who opposed Spanish rules. It was organized in January 1892 but may not become active until July 7 of the same year. That was when Jose Rizal was supposed to be loaded in Dapitan, founded by Filipino patriot Andres Bonifacio, Teodoro Plata, Ladislao Diwa, and others. The Katipunan was a secret organization until it was discovered in 1896. This discovery led to the outbreak of the Philippine Revolution. It was discovered in August 1996 after 4 years that it was established. There are really different versions in history of how the organization was discovered by the Spaniards. There who may have said that there was a spy inside the group, and the other version was from Teodoro Patino. It is said that the member of the Katipunan has a relationship, and because of the fear that his relationship will be destroyed, his way to protect him is to stop the revolution and to tell it to the Spaniards. And the another version was also from the diary of Mariana Alvarez, the president of Magdiwang Group of the Katipunan. But there was no proof which version can be said that true or the most accurate. However, the time when the Spaniards already knew about the Katipunan, what they did is they make a movement. They catch all those they think member of Katipunan and they kill them all. So when Bonifacio learned about this, he decided to call a meeting with other officers of the association. He told them that they had to start the revolution before the Spaniards ran out of members of the association. So most of the officers did not agree with the statement of Andres Bonifacio because it is too early. During the day of the meeting, Bonifacio still declared that they will start the revolution. So on the same day, they started to cry and tearing off their cedula and shouting for freedom as confirmation of the start of Philippine Revolution. So what are the significant events in the first cry? The first cry is not just a cry for rebellion. There are two important events that had happened in the first cry. We have here the first event deterring the community tax certificates or cedulas. We all know that during Spanish administration, cedula is very important to all Filipinos since it is mandatory identification card during the Spanish colonial period in the Philippines. However, during the first cry, the members of the Katipunan led by Andres Bonifacio gathered to tear up their cedulas in personal symbolizes the eventual cessation of Katipuneros' loyalty to Spanish government. Along with the tearing up community tax certificates, was accompanied by patriotic shout Viva la Independencia Filipina or Long Live Philippines Independence, which is another essential event during the first cry. The shouts were meant to express the goal of their secret organization. These two important events showed the real essence of the first cry, which is to serve the signal of confirmation for the Katipuneras' total defiance to their allegiance to Spain, and it also the gesticulation for the official beginning of Philippine Revolution against the Spaniards. It is surprisingly that there are different versions of dates and location for the first cry. The first cry of a new end date is the most continuous event in the history of the Philippines, with primary sources containing multiple accounts of where and when the event occurred. This controversy had not been resolved because of the disparate accounts and ambiguity of place names in these accounts. The exact date and location of the first cry is disputed, but we do know that it took place in the Philippines. The various accounts give different dates and place for the first cry of Pugadlawin. An officer of the Spanish Guardia Civil, L.T. Oleguera Diaz, stated that the cry took place in Balintawak on August 25, 1896. Historian Teodoro Calao, in his 1925 book, The Filipino Revolution, wrote that the event took place during the last week of August 1896 at Kangkong, Balintawak. Santiago Alvarez, a Katipunero and son of Mariano Alvarez, the leader of Magdiwang faction in Cavite, stated that in 1927, the cry took place in Bahay Toro, now in Quezon City, on August 24, 1896. Pio Valenzuela, a close associate of Andres Bonifacio, declared that in 1948, that it happened in Pugadlawin on August 23, 1896. Historian Gregorio Saide stated in his book, in 1954, the cry happened in Balintawak in August 26, 1896. Additional information or trivia. First, the uprising gained momentum and eventually extended to 8 provinces including Manila, Bulacan, Cavite, Pampanga, Tarlac, Laguna, Batangas, and Nueva Ecija. Second, it is represented the 8 sun rays on the current Filipino flag.
Good morning everyone. My name is Joshua Bartolome. and I discuss the background of the authors and their accounts. Number 1. Dr. Pio Valenzuela, The Cry of Pugad Lawin. Dr. Pio Valenzuela, a Filipino physician and revolutionary leader. At the age of 23, he joined the Katipunan and became one of the officials. He was also a friend of Andres Bonifacio, and Dr. Pio Valenzuela also present during the meeting before the actual first cry happened. In his first version, he told that the cry was in Balintawak on Wednesday of August 26, 1896. And later on, he wrote his memoirs of the revolution and claimed that the cry took place at Pugadlawin on August 23, 1896. Dr. Pio Valenzuela, together with Andres Bonifacio and Emilio Jacinto, they formed the secret chamber of the society called Camara Reina. He took charge of the publication of Ang Kalayaan, Katipunan's first and only official publication. Dr. Pio Valenzuela, together with Mauricio Pantas and Enrique Pacheco, said that the first cry of the revolution did not happen in Balintawak, where the monument is, but in a place called Pugadlawin. In 1940, a research team of forerunner of the National Historical Institute, which include Valenzuela, identified the location as part of Sitio Gulod, Banlat, Caloocan City. National Historical Institute described this location is the House of Tantansora. Number 2. General Santiago Alvarez, the Cry of Bahay Toro. He was a well-known Katipunero from Cavite and also known as a Kidlat ng Apol because of his plain bravery and dedication as a commander of Cavite's famous battle, Dalahican. He is celebrated as the hero of the Battle of Dalahican. He was already a Delegado General of Provincial Council of the Katipunan in Cavite. He became the Captain General and later Commander-in-Chief of the Magdiwang forces and valiantly fought the Spaniards from 1896-1897. He was a relative of Gregoria de Jesus, the wife of Andres Bonifacio. Santiago Alvarez was a revolutionary general and a founder and honorary president of the first directorate of the Nacionalista Party. In his account, the first cry happened on August 24, 1896 at Bahay Toro, Quezon City. Number 3. General Guillermo Masangkay, The Cry of Balintawak. Guillermo Masangkay is a friend and advisor of Andres Bonifacio. He was one of the first members of the Katipunan, which was designated to build the KKK in Cavite. He played the role in the Filipino-American War as a revolutionary general. There are two versions presented by him. First, he dated the first cry on his interview in the Sunday Tribune, first decade of American occupation, on August 26, 1896. Secondly, he dated it on August 23, 1896, on his interview published in the newspaper Bagong Buhay, similar to the assertion of Dr. Pio Valenzuela. But Then again, it was changed back by his granddaughter Soledad Bueller Borromeo. Cited sources, including Masangkay papers, that the original date was August 26, 1896. Number 4. Gregorio de Jesus, the first cry. Gregorio de Jesus was the Lakambini of the Katipunan, and her nickname is Oryang. Gregorio de Jesus was the founder and vice president of the women's chapter of the Katipunan. She was also custodian of the documents and seal of the Katipunan, and she married Andres Bonifacio. After the death of Andres Bonifacio, she married Julio Nakpil, one of the general of revolution. She had one son from Andres Bonifacio and 5 children from Julio Nakpil. In her account, the first cry happened near Caloocan on August 25, 1896. The first cry of revolution transferred near Caloocan on August 25, 1896. The activities of the Katipunan reached nearly all comers of the Philippine archipelago, so that when its existence was discovered and some of the members arrested, they can immediately return to Caloocan. According to her version, Bonifacio and his men gathered in the hill of Balintawak for the War of Liberation. The term cry, which means cry for rebellion, which marked as the beginning of the Philippine Revolution, led by the supreme leader Andres Bonifacio. There are two important events that happened in the first cry. We have here the first event, the tearing of community tax certificates or cedula, which was accompanied by patriotic shouts, "Long live Philippine independence." Dr. Pio Valenzuela accounts the cry of Pugad Langit on August 23, 1896. General Santiago Alvarez accounts the cry of Bahay Toro on August 24, 1896. General Guillermo Masangkay accounts the cry of Balintawak on August 26, 1896. Gregorio de Jesus accounts the first cry on August 25, 1896. And among the different versions of the first cry, the cry of Balintawak or Pugad Langit is the most famous and debatable because of the reputation of the historians who wrote it according to their sources.